Welcome to the Sales Navigator Live Show with Stan and Brynne. Join LinkedIn expert and sales professional Brynne Tillman and me, Stan Robinson Jr., Chief Coaching Officer here at Social Sales Link, as we bring you the best tips and strategies for leveraging Sales Navigator for your sales success. Enjoy the show. And there we are. How you doing, Brynne?
I'm good. Can you believe it's been a week since we were here?
The time does fly. I don't know if it's the summer or what the deal is.
Either way, it's certainly not a week since we've been together back at LinkedIn last week.
Yes, indeed.
Having a wonderful time. But this is such a great topic that we're talking about today because most of us do it wrong, including us. So this is going to be fun to talk about today. Why don't you get us started?
Yes, so we were just talking about this backstage or off mic, so to speak, or whatever you call it, in the green room. To save or not to save? That is the question. And one of the features of Sales Navigator is that you have the ability to save accounts and to save leads. Now, you can't do this in LinkedIn, okay? And when we're talking about saving accounts and saving leads in this context, this is different from saving searches. Okay, where when you save a search, you can get email alerts and so forth. This is related, but this is not that. This is when you come across a particular prospect that meets all your search filters and it looks great, or you see and say you have a list of target accounts. You're using account-based sales. And you know, okay, I have to target this, this, and this, these accounts, so I can save them. And one of the things that saving leads and accounts does is it drives all the activity on your Sales Navigator homepage. So that's one of the reasons why it's so important. So any thoughts before I go beyond that, Brynne?
Yeah, the last thing you said is really important. What we save drives our newsfeed. The accounts that we save, the people that we save. But one of the reasons, well, I don't want to use the word but, one of the reasons I love Sales Navigator so much is because we have this personalized news feed. When we're on LinkedIn.com, the mothership, in the homepage, we have two filters, top and recent. That's it. And then it's noise upon noise upon noise. When we get into Sales Navigator, we have the opportunity to completely customize what we're seeing. But if we do this wrong, which believe me, I have and continue to do, so this is a work in progress, is that we create a news feed that becomes noisy, like the LinkedIn.com news feed. And it's not as purposeful. So I'm going to start with the goal of the saved leads and accounts is to drive a news feed. I'm going to make up a number that is 90% actionable, meaning 9 out of 10 things that you see in your news feed are of value to your prospecting efforts, are something that you should or could be doing that is effective and productive. If you're scrolling through your Sales Navigator news feed and it's reverse, 1 out of 10 is actionable, we need to clean it up. So our save or not to save conversation is also unsave, right? So that's sort of my mindset in getting started here.
Yep, great, awesome. Yeah, and what Brynne mentioned about save leads and saves the accounts drive your homepage activity, that that is the beauty of Sales Nav. We love LinkedIn. Brynne and I love LinkedIn. Okay. With a big heart. But when it comes to the time that you're spending selling, you want to get as much wring as much as you can from that time in terms of productivity. And that's where Sales Navigator is a beautiful thing. So I realize that some of you who are listening to this are Sales Nav pros. Some may be just getting set up in Sales Nav. I guess to both audiences, one of the things you want to make sure of is that you do save your existing clients
Mhm.
in Sales Navigator and add them to a list, because saving accounts and saving leads, yes, it signals the algorithm, it drives the activity that you'll see. So that's how you talk to the algorithm. In terms of your own activity and what you do, and we'll talk more about lists in
Mhm.
a future episode in
Maybe
more
the
depth.
next week.
Yes, we'll talk more, because these go hand in glove,
Yes.
saving and lists, because lists are what allow you to really leverage. So when you're saving, you're talking to the algorithm. With the list, those are for you, because
Mhm.
you can use the list to include, exclude accounts and leads from your searches, and we'll go into all of that. But those were the main things that I wanted to mention. Now, from a tactical standpoint, we mentioned you can save both leads and accounts. When you save a lead, SalesNav automatically saves the associated account
Mm.
with that lead as well.
It's usually
It's
right,
helpful.
but not
Yes,
always.
thank you. Because I was experimenting and said, well, this is what it's supposed to do, but why didn't that happen? But usually that's what you should expect.
You wanna check it though, because sometimes, like, I have more than one current position, right? So, I'm on the board of a chamber of commerce that I have listed as a position. So, LinkedIn is gonna make its best guess to tag you to the right company. So, it will automatically do it. It used to ask you, which company would you like
Yeah.
to connect this lead with? It doesn't do that anymore. It takes its best guess. So just double check. That's all.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. So, and
Oh,
usually
wait, can I say one
yeah.
more thing? This is an opportunity where you may unsave, right? So maybe you save me as a lead. Sure. That'd be awesome, right? And it automatically potentially saves me under the Chamber of Commerce
Mm,
because, that's what LinkedIn decided to do today. Social Sales Link is not saved. However, that's probably the account that you're prospecting because I have no power over the Chamber of Commerce decisions, right? So what happens now is okay, I recognize that it's saved to the wrong account or Social Sales Link was not saved. So I'm just going to check. And if you visit the Social Sales Link page, it will let you know if it's a saved account or not. You'll be able to tell. If it's not, you want to save that. But you may want to unsave the Chamber
the
of
chamber.
Commerce because that content is what's going to present too much noise in your news feed where that becomes something that's never necessarily actionable. It's okay if you forget to do it in the moment. But when you see that in the news feed, you
Mm,
can actually unsave that account in real time. So there may be nothing that comes over from the chamber, but 6 months from now, you're like, oh, I've seen 3 things from this chamber. I want it out of here. You can unsave that. So I just, that's a save or not save. I saved accidentally. How do I fix it?
yes. Yes. So thank you. Yeah, because there's so much, and very shortly we're going to be talking about a little bit more about unsaving, and kind of doing some cleaning up to make sure that your news feed stays relevant. One small thing is we're used to um, the fact that when you look at someone's profile or someone looks at you, you can see who's viewed you on LinkedIn, which is
That's a good
wonderful.
one. Yes.
Now, when you save a lead, though, they don't know that you've saved them. They never get notified that, hey, Brynne just saved a lead at Airmark, or whatever the case may be. Okay, so there's no notification. You don't have to worry about that at all. It's not the same as a who's viewed your profile scenario. So, one of the things that we were talking about is okay, a lot of us have a tendency to get, I don't know what to call it, prospect happy, and and it's so easy to save that what we tend to
Mhm,
do a lot of times is save too many leads and
mhm.
accounts, or sometimes you may change territories
Mm,
and your focus may change, but a lot of times it's easy to forget that, I'm working with Sales Navigator, trying to get it to be a great tool for me to stay focused, to signal the algorithm. You want to remember, if you're changing territories, your account focus, your product focus, go back and do some cleanup in Sales Nav so that
mhm,
it's not feeding you old information. And as
mm.
Brynne mentioned, you can keep your news feed current and relevant.
I love that. I really, that's so great. So, one of the things that you can do is filter by all accounts. So I think that's a good thing, right? You could go in and quickly look through all accounts. You could do a few things, right? You can remove alerts, or you can unsave an account. Now, if you go to unsave an account, it will actually ask you if you want to unsave the entire account and all the leads associated with that account. So if you do it from an account perspective, it can actually really clean it up.
Mhm.
Um, I'm curious. I have to think through this. If we did this from a leads perspective and we go to unfollow a lead, if we unsave a lead, yeah, I think it just unsaves the lead. It does not do the account itself. I'm going to double, triple check that, but I'm pretty sure that's the case.
Yeah.
So you may want to do this. If you have things that change, you may want to start on the account basis. What happens is maybe you save 4 or 5 leads in an account. You no longer have this account. You're not prospecting this account, and you're going to get noise.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so that's a great recommendation, Stan. I like that. Um,
So our whole goal is to reduce the noise so that you can stay focused on the sales opportunities. And one golden nugget that Brynne gave you at the beginning of this, which is just a great way to kind of check yourself. If you find yourself scrolling through your Sales Navigator news feed and you're not seeing opportunities to start sales conversations based on the information that you're seeing, something's wrong.
yeah, right. That's so important. So if I go through 5, 6, 7, uh, I guess shares, right? Or why can't I think of the word in the
Yeah,
news feed?
whatever
Just
the
like,
alert is. Yeah.
yeah, the alert, right? I go through 5, 6, and I'm like, hmm, Stacy shared content, but I don't feel like engaging on that, or I don't need to engage with Stacy. Rethink Stacy as a lead. If you go through that and say, "Yep, I see her. She's shared content," and if I am not, so this is something, Stan, we talked about. You know Marie Kondo, right?
Yes.
Right.
Heard of her. It's been a while. But
So yeah, in the middle of the pandemic, it was the biggest Netflix thing ever. She was the organizer, and I took away so many little fun things from her from a business perspective. I also invested tons in closet organizers, but that's another story for another day. But from a sales navigator perspective, she really inspired me, right? So part of her concept was you take all your stuff and you hold it and you say, does this bring me joy? And if it brings me joy, I'm keeping it. And if I'm like, it's going to go in the maybe pile. And if I'm like, nope, it goes in the goodbye pile. So when you are going through your Sales Navigator homepage, which is supposedly completely customized to what you want to see, and you're starting to see things that people, and shares and triggers and alerts that don't bring you joy, unsave. I mean, it's that simple. Like, yep, this is no longer a priority. If you're going to skip over them, they're not a high priority for you. And it's probably taking up too much brain space to go through. Now, that being said, let's say, okay, there's still a prospect, but they're not a high priority. And if it happens, that's great, but you're not going to actively go after them. That's totally fine. You can actually keep them saved, but hide the alerts. So,
Yeah.
so you're not constantly seeing them, but they're still saved in your prospect world.
Yeah.
We've talked about filters and searches before, but when you save accounts into lists, Stan, you mentioned this earlier, in your searches, you can include or exclude those saved leads. And that's a big deal, right? Like that's important. So you may want to keep people saved, especially for exclusion,
Hmm.
right? So you just tag them the right way.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. And exclusion, when we talk about lists, we'll talk a little bit more about the ability to exclude, which is another wonderful feature of Sales Navigator. It's not always obvious how powerful the exclusion filter is.
Hmm.
But once you start playing with it, you'll say, oh, this makes a lot of sense. So, yep. So, Brynne, yeah, it
Yeah.
looks like you were.
No, I could go on and on about this, but how far did we get into our points?
So, truth be told, we're almost about to wrap up in terms of, yeah, believe it or not, in terms of to save or not
Or
to
not to
save. And
save?
the philosophical part was Marie Kondo and
Yeah.
cleaning and when you pick something up, it's can I not part with this? Or do I have to think about whether I cannot part with this? Or I never want to see this again. Now,
Yeah.
it's
And categorize it, right? Make sure you categorize it. There are some times, not to throw too many wrenches in this, but there is the maybe pile. And you may want to actually create a list called maybe.
mhm,
I'm not ready to delete them and unsave them, but I'm not sure. And so you can save the people in more than one list, and you can have a maybe list that you can go back to. But you want to clean out your LinkedIn closet quarterly. Really take a look and clean it up. You will also in the time doing this find opportunities. You'll be like, "Oh, I forgot about that."
yep,
So, lots of
yep,
good stuff there. I will hand it to you to put a bow
yep.
on it.
Yes. So thank you. As we've kind of been teasing you a little by mentioning lists a few times, because that is a natural segue from the ability to save your accounts and your leads, just so that you don't forget about them. As Brynne mentioned, if you don't want to see as many alerts, you can hide the alerts, but keep an account or a lead still saved so that you can include, exclude them from searches and so forth. So with that, stay tuned. Now, just a heads up, we are going to be traveling. So just keep your ears peeled in terms of the time, which may change next week for those that are used to
So
tuning into
next
the
week
live
will
pod.
definitely be a different time live. If you're listening to this in podcast or recording, it won't matter
You're
whatsoever.
fine.
But we will be at a different time on next week. So, but we'll create an event and we'll let you know.
Exactly. So we'll give you plenty of notice as far as that goes. All righty. And that is it for today. Brynne, thank you. I love the Marie Kondo, the philosophy side of it, because that's something we can all relate to.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. We'll see you next week.
Yep. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. And join us again for more insights on Sales Navigator and social selling strategies that will differentiate you from your competitors and accelerate your sales success. In the meantime, you can go to socialsaleslink.com/library for free content on LinkedIn, Sales Navigator, and social selling.